Mike Collins. I'm the founder and CEO of Alumni Ventures. We're a
Uh,
national firm, but our headquarters is in Manchester, New Hampshire, and our offices are in Silicon Valley, New York, Chicago, and Boston.
and what's the backstory? How come you guys decided to set up this business?
So I started the business in 2013, really out of my own frustration as a retail investor. Started in venture capital in 1986, but I always found it very difficult to access both the quality and quantity of deals as an individual that institutions had available to them. So that's what I really set out to do. Is I wanted to give the retail investor the ability to participate in what I think is a very important asset class, and make that easy and fun and lucrative.
And what can you tell us in terms of numbers? Like how much money have you raised or how much
Yeah,
has been deployed? And
yeah, sure. The Alumni Ventures is now one of the most active venture capital firms in the world. Uh, we have raised almost $1.5 billion from individuals. We have just over 11,000 customers, and we've made investments in over 1,400 individual companies in our history. And so we're very active. We still invest in 200 to 300 ventures a year. We exclusively are co-investors. It's an important point. So, the deals we participate in are led by, you know, very recognizable firms like, Khosla and Andreessen, Sequoia, Norwest. And we're a small co-investor alongside them in many of the deals that we participate in.
okay. And what's the typical size of a check that you would write then?
Yeah, some of our pre-seed and seed deals, we're writing checks in the $50 to $150,000 range, and then it scales up from there into the million to $5 million check size. We're usually about 5 to 10% of a round of financing, but that covers the vast majority of things.
Okay. And what's your kind of goal for deployment this year? Is it similar to the cadence that you've been on so far or?
Yeah, I mean, we deployed the capital we raise usually within a year or two. So again, order of magnitude, $250 million, $300 million a year is kind of the numbers we're looking to deploy. We try not to time markets. So we invest very consistently. So that's our belief that there's always great entrepreneurs with great ideas that we want to be participate in. And then obviously with such a large portfolio, we want to deploy more capital in our companies that are really achieving kind of breakout velocity.
And on that note, do you have any notable examples maybe of investments that you're particularly proud about or exits even? Anything that stands out?
Yeah, just, companies that some of your viewers might be familiar with is Aura. So the Aura Ring is a very popular consumer product in the area of AI. We're investors in Grok. Um, a company that's really hot right now that we're in the pre-seed is a company called Blue Sky. At the other end of the spectrum, again, one of our public companies is Rigetti. So Rigetti is in quantum computing and that's been all the rage the last 6 months or so. So again, just a huge portfolio of fantastic companies. I'd encourage people that are curious about that to visit our website and see our Apex 50 list, which are all active portfolio companies. And we're really proud of the breadth and depth of our portfolio.
And thinking about the breadth of your portfolio, what's your investment thesis? How do you filter and how do you narrow down to where you end up investing and what gets you excited right now, I suppose?
Yeah, so I think, we look at the same things that most venture capital firms look at: the size of the problem, the background of the team, early traction. Obviously, deal dynamics are important. I think a couple of things that differentiate our firm is, we take a lot of pride in working with really top tier venture capitalists. So, we're looking for strong signal from the lead investor. And, that's much a function of the quality of the entrepreneurial team as it is the venture capital firm. The thesis is that the very best companies really have their choice and access to those kind of lead investors. So, I think it is a really strong signal for a co-investor is who's leading the round, and is it a check of strong conviction, who's going on the board. Those we think are very strong signals, and because we're a co-investor, we really read a lot into that compared to other VC firms. Beyond that, I think, our perspective is fairly mainstream. We think that there are many areas of profound disruption taking place. Obviously, robotics, AI, life sciences, energy. Really, again, when I started in the business, innovation was confined to small segments of the economy and small geographies. And really, Silicon Valley has spread not only geographically, but really into almost all asset classes. There's innovation now in every nook and cranny of the economy. So it's an exciting time.
So you talking about deal sourcing or deal flow, do you sort of sit back and wait for these big name firms to come to you with a list of opportunities, or do you kind of find your own things and try to run it by them to see if they would kind of get
Yeah,
excited enough
no,
to
no,
want to
they're not.
lead? And
They're not sitting around picking up the phone and calling us when they're closing a round of financing. So we have 10 investment teams that are in the major investment hubs, and they go out and source deals through a lot of grit, hard work, creativity. Most of the time, we're trying to get to know the founders of the founders and the management teams of these companies. So our investment teams are generalists, but they also have areas of focus. So, we have a team that focuses on health tech and another on kind of blockchain and fintech and robotics and AI. And we have a women's fund. So, these T-shaped teams go out and have their own events, their own scouts, their own networks, their own investment ideas, views of what's going to be taking place over the next 5-10 years in their domain. So, yeah, no, we're out scrappy, we're out hustling. Um, you know, that's the nature of great venture capital.
so how should a founder that think that what they're doing or building is aligned to what you're interested in, what's the best way to them finding out who to approach? It's, there's so many different teams, so many different individuals. Is it LinkedIn? Is it like
Yeah, I
there's
mean,
some other channel?
I think it's one of the first great tests of an entrepreneur is to find a way to get a warm introduction to an individual at any venture capital firm. So it's very difficult as an entrepreneur to go into any firm cold. So, but great entrepreneurs are creative, they're connected, they're resourceful. Um, Find a way to get a personal introduction to one of our teammates. And, um, I just kind of leave that to the creativity and capabilities of an entrepreneur. Again, we're very connected. There's all kinds of tools to find ways to find connections, second degree, third degree connections. But, we kind of view that as kind of the first test of, because you're going to have to do that as an entrepreneur. You're going to have to find your way to the right people. And one of the things that we do when we do become an investor, we try to be very helpful with our entrepreneurs and reciprocate that. So if they're looking for an introduction, we're probably one of the more connected venture capital firms. So it's really part of our secret sauce is really the power of our community and our network to help our portfolio companies. So find a way in. It's just going to give you such a better leg up if you can get a referral into one of our people.
Fair. So, given your high level of activity, you must have seen so many pitch decks over the years. What kind of highlights, or what would you say to an entrepreneur they need to do today to stand out? I mean, good, bad, and ugly. What's the top tip that you could would
Yeah,
how to get their attention to work on?
if I were to give kind of three pieces of advice is know your customer. And if your customer is a venture capital firm, is do your research and be prepared and identify the firms that you are going to be a good fit for. I think it is, as I mentioned, very important to have a connection and a personal introduction to that venture capital firm. And then the third thing is it's just a numbers game. Okay. And there are, 50 or 100 meetings you're going to have to make at least in order to raise your round of financing. And that's just the job. And so you should be undertaking that kind of diligence and process, even if you get an early yes, because, your cap table, your board, your investor group is really a major determinant of your trajectory as a company. So run a process, be persistent, be creative, show grit, and don't take rejection personally. So those would be my kind of key takeaways.
Sounds good. So, looking ahead, looking towards the future, and maybe specifically thinking about fintech. So, it felt like it sort of became a big thing 15, 10 years ago. Now it's a little bit more mature. Where do you think the opportunities are in the fintech space? What gets you excited, or where do you see others getting excited?
Well, I think in the area of disintermediation, there's still huge opportunities for small teams to disrupt large established bureaucracies and players. I think, that we're seeing that in industry after industry where, if you can take something that is 10 steps and turn it into two, or if you can cut out cost in a system. So I think the theme of um, disintermediation is a major theme in fintech. Decentralization would be another theme, which is I think you're going to see smaller, more custom solutions in fintech. Obviously, I think the area of distributed ledger, blockchain technology is going to have a kind of another bite at the apple when it comes to fintech. So, I think that those are three big themes, blockchain, decentralization, disintermediation, kind of classic disruption theory for sure. And I think the world's going to be more open to that again over the next 10 years. So, again, these things aren't one and done. I think you see them in waves. And in each wave of innovation, we see more and more problems get solved.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate your insight as always and for your time. Um, I look forward to watching the future investments you and the team will be doing in the next 10 years then and beyond.
Great. Appreciate it, Christopher. Nice to meet you.